So I was having a bit of a look around on YouTube last night, and it turns out there's nothing on there about this tent. This is the Wild Country Panacea 1, very similar in design and weight and price to the very popular Helm one. So I thought we could have a look around it together, check out some of the features, give you some sort of idea of what it's like if you've been looking at something like this. May as well start off with some of the specs. It says on here. That makes it easier than having to remember it all. So it weighs in at 2.3 kilos, sleeps 1, 4,000mm hydrostatic head, and the poles are Superflex alloy. Pack size is about the same as the Helm one. It's got one of those compression bags so you can tighten things up. It's also got the compact poles, which means it's great for bike packing, which I've been doing a lot of research about lately. Anyway, let's get a look at it. It's got one of them oversized bag things, which means it's easier for packing away when you finish with it. Let me just have a quick look at the price. Let me just have a quick look at the price. Right, Panacea 1. So this at the minute is £260, whereas the Helm one is £250. This has got a couple of unique features that separate it from the Helm. I will put a link in the description below. I have got a discount code for this specific tent, yeah, which brings it down to £234. But that's up for you to decide whether it's worth the money or not. Right, put that bag to one side. Poles. Come on. So this is one of those like single pole systems that connected with a hub. Right, these poles are 8.5mm. They call it Superflex alloy 7001. Let's have a look at the pegs while we're here as well. These are just Wild Country branded ones, like a V peg. How many do we get? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, unless I've miscounted or misplaced. And there's a pole repair sleeve as well. Right, get this fly sheet spread out. Fly sheet, so I say fly sheet, but the fly and the inner are both connected together, which is good, especially if it's raining. That keeps your inner tent dry. This fly sheet is a PU coated polyester, 4,000mm hydrostatic head. Doesn't feel as nice as the more premium Sil nylons and Sil polys, but you're not paying those prices either. Right, let's get the pole hub on. It's just got little eyelets in the corner. I can find them. One there. Be careful when you're bending these poles, because if you do it a bit too much, you can snap them. There we go. Then, like a lot of tents now, I've got these little clips that you just clip onto the pole. I do try and walk around and build it up from the ground. Makes it easier to pitch in the wind, and it also stops this pole bending at a weird angle. And then you've got this top section. Now I think that goes over the top. Not underneath. I'm not 100% sure, but that's how I'm going to do it today. It's definitely a good idea to read the instructions before pitching your tent. I'm a typical bloke, thinks he knows it all. That looks all right actually. Right, as you can see, it is a semi-freestanding tent, so you could actually sleep in that without pegging anything out. But to get the full experience, you do have to peg out these sides and vestibules, whatever you want to call them. Porch. Get a couple of pegs in, just the red tab corners. It's got sewn in tape, so you can't overstretch it really. Just pull it out till that tape's tight. At the back end of the tent, there's just one tie-out point. peg out point, and you can just tighten it up there or loosen it off if you want a little bit more airflow. The front of the tent's a little bit different, so there's two of these pegging out points. There we go. So that's the basic structure. What do you reckon? Seems very similar in sturdiness to the Helm, just from what I can see anyway. Ventilation, so we've got one vent there. I'm not going to undo these guy lines and peg everything out, but you know, that would give you some ventilation there. There's also one at either end of the tent as well, so I think you'd get decent airflow. And another one there at the front, that's got one of those little arm things on it. See what it looks like. Velcro on it. There we go, so you don't even need to tie that one out. Have a quick look. There isn't one on those end ones, or the one on the back either. Either. Let me know in the comments, are you an either or an either person? Although you're just going to be writing it down, so it's not going to make any difference either. Let's get it open. So the zip's got quite a big storm flap on it with little Velcro bits on there. There is a bungee on here, so you can put that over your peg down the bottom, stop your door coming open. Right, so the door has got quite a few tie-out options. Well, that I can see anyway. So I did have the two-person version of this, Panacea 2 and the Northern Light. And you've got quite a few options when it comes to opening things up a little bit. So first of all, you've just got the basic door open. That gives you get access to the inside. We'll have a look in there in a minute, but you've got quite a lot of storage space in there. If you've got the door closed like this, you've got a bit of protection, so you can have one door open for ventilation. You could do your cooking in there, couldn't you? First thing I've noticed is it's got a lot of solid fabric to the inner, so it's probably all right for, well, I know it'll be all right for some of the colder months as well, but you know, I know some people like a full mesh in there if they're using it in the summer. Just gives them that little bit more breathability. Let's move on to door option number 2. So you can roll this up again if you want to. Tie that on. So I could sit in here now, check out the views, and then there's still a little bit of sheltered area to do my cooking down here. Right, let's have a look at this zip. So you can, hopefully, do the zip one-handed. In fact, you can just pull it like that. And then instead of having to roll it up, there's a little mesh pocket there. Shove it in there. Let's move into full summer mode. Next one, you can roll this door up. This one's got a bit more bungee on it. There we go. So now the whole of the front is open. If the weather's lovely, it's not a bad option, I don't think. What do you reckon? Obviously, if you want to cook down here, you're going to have to close one of the doors again. So if it's raining and you want to watch the match, I could get a pretty good view from in here. Right, headroom. So I'm not sitting on a mat, so if you've got one of those thick 10cm pads, going to be not far off touching the top of the tent. So that red pole on the outside, I think it's got quite a steep angle going up, so it looks like you're going to get reasonable headroom when you're laid down, so the mesh, or not mesh, the inner's not dangling on your face. Let's have a look. So yeah, there's, although side a little bit there, if I'm in the middle, it's nowhere near me. I can actually get up. I know that could add another 100mm to that, 10cm. While I'm here, let's get them flaps open. Bit of ventilation there. Close it up when it's cold. Little toggle for rolling it up if you want. Although, you just let it hang about, wouldn't you? Let me put my feet so they are just touching the inner there. So there is a little bit of room for my heel, but my toes are touching. So I've got quite a good amount of space there. My arm is not fully outreached, but it's definitely okay for me anyway at 5'8". Bit of mesh at the top. Somewhere to hang your flex tail lantern. Another vent at the foot end. I'll pop the measurements on the screen. I'm not sure how wide it is. In fact, let me see if I can find it. So according to this, sleeping area, 69 centimetres. So you're going to get a wide 65 centimetre pad in there, and then you're going to get this little bit of extra space as well, just to put a few things, maybe your phone charger. The internal sleeping area, 222 centimetres. You're going to have to go and look at what that is in feet and inches. This vestibule, 57 centimetres with the doors closed. Yeah, and 100 centimetres head height. Another pocket down there. Couple of pockets down here. I haven't brought one with me to compare, but it does seem a little roomier than the Helm one. Just looking on their website now, the Helm's 8 centimetres shorter in height. It is 2 centimetres shorter in length. A little bit wider inside, but a smaller vestibule area. It's one of them things, all tents are a bit different, and you just got to choose which options work best for you, I suppose. So the Helm weighs a little bit less, 1.99 kilos, so 300 grams difference. Some of that's going to be down to the pole structure. So the Helm is less freestanding. That pole just goes down there. It hasn't got this wishbone. But the cross pole comes down here to the ground. So when I got the Panacea 2, one of the really cool features about it was, for me anyway, was if you use trekking poles, you could add it to the tent to give you some extra stability. So under here, there's a little pocket where you can put your trekking pole handle. And then you can lower your trekking pole, or extend your trekking pole, shall I say. This gives you additional support on here, which once you've got it guyed out as well, makes it quite a bit more stable in the wind. But on the Panacea 2 and the Northern Light, you had another door here, so you could fit the trekking pole onto this side. Now, I think there's a pocket under here, but I'm not quite sure yet how you would get your trekking pole in there. One thing to note as well, if you have got the trekking pole in, it does restrict your access a little tiny bit. But if it is blowing a gale, you're going to want that extra stability. Right, I've had a feel around and a look, and there is a little pocket there, look. So it's just a question of getting my pole in there. So the inner tent also comes down at an angle, so my trekking pole is not going to be perfectly vertical. It's going to have to be at an angle like this. Just going to undo that a second. I'm going to shove the pole up here. Locate it into the little pocket. Brilliant, that works a treat. And lift that up. Here we go. That needs a little bit of a tweak. And for it to work properly, you would have to put this guy line out as well. I've got time, haven't I? Pop that one up a little bit more. You're better off doing this inner one while you've got the tent properly guyed out and doors closed. So you don't want too much tension and then not be able to close your zip properly. Put too much strain on it. If you want to, you can also do this by just quickly unclipping these three things at the top. I'll do one more there, just to give me a bit more access. I've then got access to this pole. I just want to tighten things up a little bit. I know this is not going to be a wind test, but it's nice to just have a push on it just to see how strong it feels anyway. So the pegging out positions have moved a little bit since I've put the trekking pole in. To just go to show it alters the tension. Right, this now is rock solid. You know, you can bend these outer poles and just flex them around, but the structure's a bit more like a teepee tent now. It's not going anywhere. Let's have a look at this side. Yes, just the same. This has given it, it's just pulling it down onto the ground like a little limpet. So this is going to take a huge amount of force. I wish they'd put this in a wind tunnel. In fact, a lot of companies, I think if they really do have something that'll take a beating, show how much of a beating it can take. I guess at some point we'll see one tested to destruction on YouTube, because nothing is indestructible, is it? Even Hilleberg's brake. So what do you reckon to it? Do you like being able to add some trekking poles in there? Do you think it'll make a difference? What do you think of the design? I wonder if they make a premium version like they did with the Northern Light. It's definitely my most asked question. Can you recommend me a one-man tent that will take a beating, that won't break the bank, it's got a decent amount of headroom, that doesn't need seam sealing, and you can get away with using it almost all year round? This isn't 4 season, but you can definitely get away with using this sub-zero temperatures, as long as you've got a decent sleeping bag and pad. There's a lot of solid material in there, so it's going to hold quite a bit of heat in. If you've got any suggestions of alternatives to this, let everyone know in the comments. Is this the Helm 1 killer? That is not going to be the title, by the way. But it is a decent sturdy tent, around the 200 quid price bracket that everybody seems to be looking for. What's your thoughts on the trekking pole edition? Is it a gimmick, or can it come in really handy? Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.